Immortal Empires has just launched, and now you, the player, have the daunting choice of deciding which of the 80+ legendary lords you want to play for your next campaign. Or maybe this isn't your first run around, it's your 5th or 10th, you know, who knows? I don't. In this series, I want to help guide you through deciding which lord to choose by giving you a no-spoiler breakdown of each campaign divided by their faction or race. I'll go through each legendary lord, giving you a brief summary of their abilities and what their campaign plays like to help you decide which is the right one for you. I've organized these from the ones I enjoy the least to the ones I enjoy the most, and this is by no means, of course, a concrete fact. You might love one of them more than I do. I'm grading them more off of my preference, so don't feel like choosing the first lord on this list is going to be a letdown or anything like that. And in this video today, we'll be covering the Skaven. Keep in mind that there are some bugs that exist, especially for Lord Skrolk's campaign, which might be patched away by the time you actually watch this video, depending on when you watch this video. And we can quickly navigate to any character that interests you the most using the chapters in both the timeline and the description. And as always, guys, if you end up enjoying the content, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. Help me defeat the greatest boss of all time, the YouTube algorithm. Let's get started here on the Skaven campaigns. Yes, yes! And our first Skaven lord to talk about is not Tretch Craventail like you probably thought. It's Queek Headtaker. And this is one of the OG characters for Total War Warhammer 2. And he starts in a pretty fun location here, just south of Carrick 8 Peaks. So let's take a look at his faction mechanic, or effects, I'm sorry, with the Nod Dwell's Right Claw. So this is going to reduce loyalty -2 for Greyseer recruits. Those are the Lord level casters for... the Lord level Greyseer casters for the Skaven. And then he also steals a percentage of experience earned by other lords in hero capacity +2 for chieftains. Chieftains, of course, being your hero level unit here. Now for his actual trait, he gets Monstrous Ego, which reduces the upkeep for Storm Vermin and Clan Rat units. Melee attack +10 when fighting against Dwarfs and Greenskins. Weapon strength +10% when fighting against aforementioned factions. And then army ability number of uses +2 for the Menace Below, the ability to summon up some Skaven slave recruitments. Against Clan Rats. But then you get some Skaven Brew here, which is going to be a nice little buff to your combat abilities, but also reduces your armor. And you start off with the Executioner's Axe for your Chieftain here. So some two nice little things. Now for his actual ability, it's just the Skaven Brew that he gets to start with, but he's a pretty nice combatant here with some great melee attack, low defense, but really high weapon strength with AP and bonus versus infantry, so he can really just wade his way through dwarfs. That's the name of the game for Queek, as Carrick 8 Peaks is your objective. Now your skill line here, you're a melee character, so you just have your generic yellow, your generic blue, I'm sorry, your generic red and then generic blue line. You get Verminous Valor, followed as well by Trophy Heads. Two really great abilities. Trophy Heads really helps you lock down a lord and do a lot of damage to them and kill them quickly, while Verminous Valor is going to really help you get a nice bit of speed and leadership and get out of any kind of sticky situations. Now for the unique line for Queek. Queek Headtaker is supposed to be the character was the character most focused on Storm Vermin, but that changes when we talk about Tretch Craventail, because Crookback Mountain, lore-wise, was all about producing those Stormies. So first thing here is extremely distrustful. -1 loyalty for new recruits faction-wide, which actually kind of sucks. Then hero defense chance +15% chance of wounding aggressors, and leadership +8 for the Lord's army. Then we get to Rend and Slaughter, which gives him a leadership buff in Frenzy. Make Examples, which again helps with loyalty for Warlord recruits, but it is a further reduction for loyalty for Greyseer recruits, which really does suck, because I like having Greyseers. I think they're really great. I almost said model. They're a really great lord, so it kind of sucks that you're immediately penalized for using them. Leadership auras causes fear, then character's aura leadership effect is increased as a whole. We'll also get Life is Very Cheap, which is a nice ability for Clan Rat bonuses, as well as a recruitment rank for Clan Rat slaves, or I'm sorry, for Skaven slaves and Clan Rats, and then an armor increase for Skaven slaves and Clan Rats. Also helps out with your casualty replenishment rate. But the nice thing is that this is a -10% upkeep for Clan Rat units, all armies, so it's faction wide. Followed by Crimson Guard, which is going to increase the recruitment rank for your Stormwomen by 4, and makes it so they're faster to recruit by -1. And then Violent Rise to Power helps with control, hero action success, enemy hero action success, ambush success, and then wound recovery time. So you get these nice little kit here with Queek. You get two nice, really good items here too, with the Dwarf Scourge, which gives you some great allegiance gain and Skaven corruption. But the Warp Shard armor is still really awesome. It's a 35-meter auto hex here, where it's -5 to melee defense and -23 to armor. Ward save 10%. Dwarf Gouger, which helps even further on with your bonus versus infantry being at 45 with this nice bonus here. So it's a great ability and does a lot of cool things. The unfortunate thing though is you get so many bonuses towards dwarfs that you can actually kind of kill them out pretty quickly in your campaign, unless you really wanted to stick only in the World's Edge Mountains. And that's kind of it here, right? With Queek Headtaker, you have the ability to take out Blightwater. Oh, and it's worth noting too, you start with your Clan Moor's headquarters, which gives you chieftains right out the gate, some good growth, and recruitment cost reductions for slaves and clan rats. All really cool things. And your clan rats come out at an increased recruitment rank. It's worth noting that the clan rats that Queek can make across his unique skill and then this technology makes for some pretty good durable clan rats in the early game, which is really, really strong. But when it comes to the actual campaign for Queek, you do need to get Carrick 8 peaks. You know, it reduces your control, which is not that hard. But Carrick is very close. It's 2 provinces away. You're at Blightwater. Here's, what is this? Eastern Badlands, and then Carrick 8 peaks is right here. You could pretty much just get yourself there using the Underway. And the nice thing too is that you already start with a rank 5 Underkeep. So you have an Underhive already kind of going off here, and it's Undercity. And you can just kind of give it a ton of benefits right off the gate. So you have a lot of cool stuff going for you in this campaign. And you're really kind of unperturbed in your growth that direction. You can get to Carrick 8 peaks very quickly in your campaign. It's a lot of fun. I just think where this campaign falls short is that there's not a lot of fun mechanics to it. It's just simply you being Queek Headtaker as Clan Moors, taking over in the name of Skavendom. You do have the same food mechanic that you have to deal with all of the Skaven, which is fun because you can basically take over a provincial capital and bring it up to rank 2 or 3 or 4 depending on your food supply, which is actually a really strong boon. You get access to storm vermin in the first 10 turns of your campaign quite easily. But I think it's just such a generic campaign and it's so simple, and Queek by and large doesn't have any kind of game-breaking cool traits or abilities. He's still a very cool character and he does a lot of damage, especially to dwarfs, but I think by and large there are way better campaigns you could jump into for the Skaven. But if you do want to play a very strong single target combatant that can just rip the head off of dwarfs and pop them open like a can of Keystone Light, then trust me, Queek Headtaker is going to be the one for you. Moving over to the Darklands, we have Tretch Craventail, who was a hero choice in the 8th edition army book. But we have the Grand Chieftain of the Deep Warrens here, which is going to give him some fun abilities. So Scurry Away has improved effect and grants a minor ward save while active. Attribute Encourage for Storm Vermin units. Control +4 whenever a diplomatic treaty is broken. And recruitment rank +3 for Storm Vermin units. So, well, we'll go through the skills first before I talk about those Storm Vermin, because they're my favorite unit in the army, so I kind of have a boner for them. But he has a different kind of Scurry Away, and basically Scurry Away is going to get a bit of a bonus here. As you can see, it gives you 10% damage resistance whenever your units flee. Now, Scurry Away is a faction-wide, faction-wide. All Skaven have access to this. Basically, whenever their leadership is wavering or lowering, they run away. And this gives them a damage resistance buff, and it increases their speed, so they can get away pretty quickly. So it's kind of fun. But in addition to that, he gets By Our Blood, which makes things unbreakable. Leadership is wavering or lower. He gets Charge Reflection. He has Charge versus Large, and he has a pretty impressive kit of bonus versus large, because look at that damn thing. For his actual trait, he has got Grand Chieftain, which gives melee attack +13 during ambushes, very strong. Melee attack +13 after retreating when attacked, a little more situational, but the biggest one here is attribute Vanguard deployment, all units in the army. So no matter what, Tretch can just Vanguard his units right in the face of your opponent. That is stupid strong. Moving into his skills, he gets Tretch's Raiders, which gives him a passive ability with a nice buff that increases weapon damage and melee attack in 35-meter radius around. For all allies that are winning their melee combat, income from raiding is increased, and then charge bonus plus 10 for Storm Vermin units. Master of Guile is going to give ambush success and defense, as well as evasion chance in the underway. Vanish is going to help with speed and missile resistance for your clan rats and Storm Vermin, and then campaign movement range plus 15% after winning a battle. Stay here, I'll get help, which is his kind of special little ability here. This one right there, that gives, basically he goes invisible and gets a leadership bonus. But this can be upgraded all the way to this, which basically just gives a better cooldown and allows for more uses. Then he gets Coming Back, which gives him a passive ability of regen, wound recovery time, and casualty replenishment plus 6%. Also, he gets Life is Cheap, which is the same one that Queek had, but it's different. This only buffs your Skaven slaves, not clan rats. Also gives him casualty replenishment rate as well, and Warpstone Weapon, giving him magical attacks as well as AP damage. So you can see that he is a very, he also gets Firmness, Valor, and Trophy Heads, but he has he's almost the same as Queek Headtaker, but he does more things to benefit Storm Vermin. And you're probably thinking, well, by these skills, traits, and faction effects, it's not really that much. Well, if we go to old Crookback Mountain here, we can see that we do get a lot. So recruitment cost is reduced for Storm Vermin, their rank is increased by an additional 2, and they get immune to psychology for Storm Vermin units faction-wide. So actually you get Storm Vermin that are coming out pretty beefy, right? They're coming out with +5 to the recruitment rank across both your faction effect and this actual building, immune to psychology, speed increases, all these things that they're in Tretch's army. So you get better Storm Vermin with Tretch. And to be totally honest, I kind of feel like, and you're not that far away from Carrick 8 Peaks, which is actually not even an objective for you like it is for Queek, because it's not loreful. This is where he wants to be, is Crookback Mountain. And there's nothing to really bother you up north until Chaos Dwarfs are added into the game. So you have the ability to make this large Skaven empire in the Darklands, which is actually kind of cool and fun. So I find that Tretch Craventail is very similar to Queek Headtaker, and to be totally honest, confederating one as the other, I think ultimately completes the campaign for you. I think if you're playing Tretch, confederating in Queek is the best way to go, because then you get access to all the cool things that make Queek minus his faction effects, and then you get all the bonuses of playing as Tretch, which is all these huge buffs towards Storm Vermin. So you can have a really fun playthrough and campaign if you come grab this guy. So if you want to play or have the absolute best Storm Vermin in the Skaven faction, you can really get them up to snuff here with Tretch Craventail. In addition to that, I think this is really going to be the campaign for you if you want to have a really badass Skaven empire here throughout the Darklands. Now that we've talked about two kind of warrior characters, we're going to talk about Clan Pestilence with Lord Skrolk. And Lord Skrolk starts over here in Lustria and has some fun things going for him with the Radiant Corruption. Chance of plague spreading plus 100%. Plagues bolster your forces and nurture your settlements. Construction cost minus 50% for Poxed Cauldron, Pestilent Nave, and Plague Bailey buildings. It's the same building line. Right cooldown minus 15 turns for the Pestilent scheme. Usually it would be 30, so it's 15 instead. And then for his actual abilities, trait, we get Plague Lord, which gives Skaven Corruption, and then upkeep reduction for Plague Monks, Plague Monk Sensor Bearers, Plague Claw Catapults, and then Plague Priest units. He also benefits from Frenzy, which is nice because he's basically a Plague Monk. He gets scurry away like everyone else does, but he also has a ability that will give him Contaminated, so leadership reduction whenever he hits anyone with his big ol' huge mace Morningstar. And in addition, like I said, he is a caster character, so he's the first one we've talked about that is a caster, and with it we get the lore of, or the Skaven lore Plague. And with it, it's a pretty fun lore. You get Vermintide, which is the ability to summon up some clan rats here. Then you get down into Pestilent Birth, which allows you to summon up Plague Monks, which is just really nice. And Arcane Conduit, which is a good little thing to boot. Now for his unique quote-unquote line, he doesn't have an actual line like most people do. It's individual skills. So he has Loathsome Appearance, which causes terror, Plague Lord, which is going to help with hero capacity and recruitment rank for casters, such as the Plague Priests and the Eshin Sorcerers. Also, it's going to help with recruitment rank for Plague Monks and Plague Claw Catapults +4 at the top end, and upkeep reduction all armies for the same 2 units. Herald of Decay is going to help with control and Skaven corruption. Voice of the Horned Rat, I think that's actually a generic ability there. But still, leadership aura size and character aura leadership effect. Envoy of the Council is diplomatic relation +10 with Skaven, and then Aura of Pestilence, which is a really nice one, reducing that melee attack by 35 meters. I'm sorry, by 5 in 35-meter radius around him. All enemies, no criteria required there, which is quite nice. So, oh, also quest items. Forgot about these. He also gets Liber Bubonicus, as well as the Rod of Corruption and the Vectors of Disease, which is control and chance of plague spreading is increased by 150% all factions wide, all armies faction wide, because I'm taking a look at his faction effect plus the 50% here. Now, what this helps with is the Winds of Magic reduced for Plague, which is very nice, and for Wither. Also, the Rod of Corruption is a very good ability here. It basically just does a ton of damage over time, and Liber Bubonicus basically as well does a lot of damage as well. And it helps out with some magical attacks, weapon strength increase, hero capacity, and hero recruitment rank for Plague Priests. So basically your Plague Priests are going to be coming out at rank 4, plus this is bringing them out at an additional rank 3. So that's rank 7. I think doesn't he get another? No, just rank 7 by just heralded, I'm sorry, by the Plague Lord and having the Liber Bubonicus, which is a really great combination. Now, this campaign is fun too because you are in the southern portion of Lustria. You don't really have much competition. You do have some Lizardmen up here and some Lizardmen right, or 10 and 1 right there. But for the most part, you can kind of take over the hinterlands here of Lustria with relative ease. The big thing is that right now, I guess currently the plague mechanic for the pestilence is bugged, which should be fixed quite soon. But I'm still grading this off of the campaign's merits because it's still quite fun. It's really enjoyable to be able to just make a massive pestilent horde of Skaven. And to be totally honest with you, taking a look at the unit browser here, Plague Monks and Plague Monk Censer Bearers are 2 of the stronger characters in the army. In addition to, Plague Claw Catapults are really good initial artillery units. So you have a lot of really strong early game capabilities that just get buffed up over time, especially when you jump into stuff like your Deathglow Bombardiers, your Fun Poison Wind Mortars, stuff like that. Things that I wish that Pestilence started to get buffs to, but they came out in later DLCs. But still, I think one of the other things that's kind of lackluster is their landmark, the Corrupted Spawning Pool. Doesn't really do much for you, whereas everyone else has really cool, like, faction-centric things. With all that being said, you can still reap a huge tally as Skrolk. Skrolk is still a very strong campaign. He was strong in Warhammer 2, he's strong in Warhammer 3, and with very little opposition, you're going to be finding yourself ripping a plague through the entirety of the central portions of Lustria. Big thing that's going to be crucial though is your pestilent scheme to create those plagues and have them jump from settlement to settlement in the means of, you know, all of your pestilent goodness. So you're really going to like this campaign if you want to play a caster character that is also quite a good combatant. Like, Skrolk doesn't have, you know, the most armor and most melee defense here, but he still can just really hit the crap out of things with his mace, and he does a ton of damage when you get him unlocked with the Liber Bubonicus and the Rod of Corruption. He can just really focus things down fast, and he can really buff up his army really well by having so much Clan Pestilence stuff popping off at the same time. So you'll really like this campaign if you do want to play a caster, and you want to play in Lustria, and you want to take it over in the most plaguey way possible. Alright, now here's where things get kind of wild. Moving into our next one, we've got Clan Eshin with Deathmaster Snikch, and we have some fun mechanics layered into this campaign. So let's take a look here at the Chief Assassin of Clan Eshin. Has access to Clan Eshin's shadowy dealings, recruitment cost plus 200% for all non-Eshin units, which actually kind of sucks, but you're not going to be experiencing that too much at least. Night Runners and Gutter Runner units use armor-piercing warp-infused projectiles, which is just awesome. Let's take a look at what that looks like. You can see that they just already get that AP kind of coming out, which is just really, really nice. Now, Clicking on the Snikch himself, he has 30% physical resistance, which is awesome, but the Grand Night Lord's Agitator gives ambush success chance plus 25%, concealment bombs to him, melee attack plus 8 for embedded heroes. So putting a bunch of assassins or the Clan Eshin casters into there, or well, anyone for that matter, you get that plus 8, which is cool. Also, his attacks do, he got his Weeping Blades, which they reduce armor by 50%. 50%, which is great, because this is of course going to be the name of the game for him, is getting in there and killing things as fast as possible, because he is an assassin. That's just what they do. Also, he's got Vanguard deployment, which is cool. Now for his actual skills, it's typical kind of blue, red, and yellow line. Verminous Valor is existent here with speed and leadership buffs, but rather than the trophies, we get Deathmaster's Sigil, which locks someone down. And it's only usable on a lord or a hero, of course, here, but it will do a little bit of damage and then lock them down. They can't move, which is just lovely. Also, for his unique line, he gets Jump Scare, which is ambush success and defense chance, as well as leadership increased and melee attack increased during ambushes for the entire army. Scurry Fast Quick, which is campaign movement range, attribute Strider and charge bonus for the whole army. Conceal Hide Them, which is ability concealment bombs for the Night Runners and Gutter Runner units, which you're going to have a ton of, and then speed plus 10% for infantry units, which by and large are the Clan Eshin units. Contract Loopholes, upkeep minus 10% for the Lord's Army, as well as all hero and Lord recruitment rank, plus 3 on all provinces, which is a really nice one. Just Dodge It is melee defense and physical resistance increase for Snikch himself, with Sabotage and Unrest closing us out for attrition suffered by Defender, Control, and enemy leadership bonuses and penalties here. But also, he does have another little kind of additional top line. So Expert Thief is post-battle chance of looting a magical item. Rat Fu helps with hero defense and enemy hero action success chance reductions. Slippery gives him speed and melee defense for 25 seconds. And then From the Shadows is an ability to conceal everything around him. Range 200 meters, effective, in a 35 meter range in a 200 meter like target. So you click a location and it lasts for about a minute, and it gives Snipe, Stock, and Unstoppable. So all of your units can keep firing from, I said while being cloaked. This is not Star Trek. I wish there was a good Star Trek strategy game. Can we talk about that? There hasn't been one in years. But he has the Whirl of Weeping Blades and the Cloak of Shadows for his Deathmaster's Toolkit, which helps other control and assassinate action increase by 15%. But this is going to ultimately help out with leadership for his Gutter Runners and give him the Whirl of Weeping Blades, which is a stupid strong ability and does a lot of damage around him, but of course it locks him down for 5 seconds. AP and weapon strength increase as well. For Cloak of Shadows, this is going to give him melee defense, but also the Cloak of Shadows itself causes -4 leadership and -10 melee defense in a 35 meter radius around him, as well as ambush success and enemy hero action success chance penalties and increases. So that kind of covers our bonuses right there. And with Jingpo, we do also get the Den of the Dread Deeds, which gives us just income, food, control, growth. This is supposed to be the clan headquarters. It's kind of lackluster, but still, you get one. Pretty much everyone has something like it. But the big thing here is the shadowy dealings. And this is kind of just to circumvent a whole big discussion about them, because there is of course a larger discussion about it. I've covered it in a different video, but you can just outright kill a faction. You can just outright remove them from the game, you know? Removes a faction's leader, causing them to be overthrown by rebels, select any army, or select a target faction. Like, you just have so many cool abilities across these contracts that you can go on to do different bonuses and get access to different things. So, you know, you've got your -200% to any non-Clan Eshin unit. Well, maybe, you know what, you want to go really hard into Clan Scryer and get access to your Doom Flayers, your Warp Lightning Cannons, or Doom Wheels, and Skaven Warp Weapon Teams. Well, this is minuses a recruitment cost by -220%. So you can get access to them. You just go on these missions and you go through this. and you'll start to get access to those nice and better things. And depending on what you go into, like, okay, this one gives you physical resistance for your lords and embedded heroes. This one here gives you weapon strength for lords and heroes. Just depends on what you're going for. So you have all these different ways to kind of color your campaign, which is really, really fun. Then all these actions that you can take advantage of, like, oh, a heist steals up to 1,000 from a settlement, reduces income by 10%. You can go break open the doors, midnight raid, damages an enemy for 10% of its current health, sabotage. You have all these really cool abilities that you can use with Clan Eshin, which is just, it's a lot of fucking fun. And Clan Eshin personally is my favorite clan. It does feel a little funky from a lore perspective. You know, you are supposed to be this like clandestine clan and you're conquering large swaths of territory. That's neither here nor there. But what is here is the fact that you can have a huge Skaven empire in Cathay. And Cathay and Nippon have a really big presence in the lore for Clan Eshin. So this is a really fun, loreful, flavorful campaign that you can take advantage of. And you can jump through all these contracts, all these actions, all this fun, cool stuff for Clan Eshin. Now, where I will say does fall short is that it's always kind of a pain when you have a mechanic that tells you, hey, you can't recruit those cool units you want to use in your army until you do certain things. Belagar suffers from that, and a number of other, what's his name? Belagar's opponent does, Skarsnik, I think, as well. So those things kind of unfortunately suck, but still I think that the amount of units that you can get access to, that, I mean, because you can get your generic clan rat units and clan slave units, then you get access to all of your night runners, your gutter runners. All these units are still really strong, not the poison wind mortars here. All these units are really strong and powerful. You don't necessarily need all the other units. I mean, you also get to the Eshin Triad units, which are really, really, really cool units. You get the Death Runners, which are amazing. Where are you? Where is this other guy? Eshin Sorcerer, there it is. You get the entire clan of the Skaven spells of stealth here, so you have a lot of really fun things to take advantage of, and being limited to only Skaven Eshin units is not as bad as it is for a lot of other factions that have similar limiting factors. And I think that if you want to play the Master Skaven Assassin, toppling single factions from behind the scenes, or kind of pulling the strings and doing really cool like night heists and stuff like that, trust me, man, you are going to have the most fun as Clan Eshin and as Deathmaster Snikch. If Clan Eshin was my favorite clan, then Ikit is my favorite single character in Skaven lore. And Ikit Claw is leading Clan Scryer with a lot of fun stuff. The Chief Warlock Engineer here gains access to his Forbidden Workshop, which is nice. Research rate plus 20%, which is great to move through the kind of big, long research tree of the Skaven. Loyalty plus 2 for all new recruits. Construction cost minus 40% for engineering building, which is also just really great. Moving into the character himself, he is an engineer, which if I had to choose between engineers, the Eshin sorcerers, or the plague priests, I think engineers are hands down the best. War plating is so good. But it gets the right Fang of Lord Morskatar, which reduces pretty much the upkeep on all of the weapon teams. It's pretty much it. Also recruitment rank for Skaven weapon teams as well. Now for his ability, he's in Skaven power armor, dude. So of course he has physical, missile, and spell resistances. He gets the brass orb ability, which is a really nice, powerful vortex ability that just slams down and does a ton of damage. And look at his stat line. His missile strength, because this thing's a flamethrower, is 933, and it does burnt. So he just launches and turns things on fire with it. And then he has this big old halberd, which gives him bonus versus large, and AP. He does flaming and magic attacks. Like, this guy's the whole kit. He then has an iron frame is one of his quest items, which he just has, which gives him armor, weapon strength, spell resistance, physical resistance. I mean, dude, this guy's just loaded. Now, going into his line, things are pretty generic here. He doesn't get the typical stuff when it comes to the red or the yellow line. He doesn't get those cool abilities because he doesn't really benefit them as he normally would. Now, going though into his casting, he gets, of course, like I said, the Skaven spells of Ruin, which I like more than pretty much all the other spells. Flensing Ruin over here as well. which is just pretty nice, and then unlimited power, which gives tons of power recharge and reserves per second. Then you get the power armor line, which gives more physical resistance, more weapon strength and melee attack, more fire and spell resistance, speed and charge bonuses, hit points, which goes into adrenaline rush or second wind serum, which is an augment for unbreakable and AP damage, or for melee defense and healing per second. So you can choose whichever one you want. For his, again, further unique line, power overload to reduce the cooldown on your spells, Warp Tech Academy for loyalty and hero capacity for Warlock Engineers, 50% chance to acquire Warp Fuel after battle, which is crucial to the workshop we'll talk about in a second. The very latest thing, concentrated flame and ammunition, increased range and anti-large. Like, it goes from 80 up to 100, and damage goes up by 41 to 974. Optimized production here, recruitment duration for Doomflare and Doom Wheels, as well as recruitment rank for those two units as well. And then Doomsday Scientist further upgrades the brass orb ability. So he just has so many cool tricks up his sleeve. He can go eventually from a Doom Flare, the smaller of the two, into the Doom Wheel. And then for his quest items, he gets Storm Demon as part of his destructive engineering, which is going to reduce construction costs for all buildings, which is very lovely. Bonus versus large, an additional 10. Ability Storm Demon is a nice magic missile attack, and AP plus 25. Let me finally take a breath there. And I mean, just... You're probably wondering why he's not the #1 spot, and it's because I think Throt the Unclean has a more interesting workshop mechanic. So the Forbidden Workshop is a big part of the mechanic here, right? Because you also have the ability to make nukes, make doom rockets. You can blow things up. You can just completely wipe out a faction, well, I'm sorry, an army on the battlefield with a doom rocket. Okay, maybe it's a little bit of hyperbole, but still, you can just completely wreck shop with them, and they're awesome. In addition, though, you can basically buff up the Doom Flare, the Doom Wheels, or individual weapon teams. And as you do this, you'll feel this gauge on the bottom, which is going to give you armor, weapons, armor, or a unique Regiment of Renown version of this, or this one right here. This one's going to give you the Warp Lightning Battery here, the Modulated Doom Wheel Assembly Kit. Weapons teams also have the same thing, where they get you incendiary rounds, which is really, this one's really cool. So enable, it's a banner that you would put on units, and it gives them flaming attacks and missile strength plus 12%, which is awesome, right? Same thing here for the Sniper's Cape. These are your Regiments of Renown units that you get as well. So why I like Throt's mechanic more, and I'll talk about it more, Throt, is that it's a little more nuanced versus this is just kind of, okay, passive ability, Endless Drum for rattling gun weapon teams, all armies, which is great that I'm benefiting all of the armies, but it's also just very specific, only the weapons teams, which, okay, to be totally fair, are very, very strong. And it's really kind of, you could put Throt or Skrolk at the #1 slot depending on your preferences. I just think Throt's stuff is a little bit more interesting. But it is worth noting, though, that you get Skaven Blight, the capital of Skavendom, which is stupid strong, has a lot of good abilities here. And then you get the Shattered Tower, and then you get the Council Chamber of the 13, Lord Recruitment Rank +2, Control plus 13, lots of faction-wide stuff, like a lot of really great bonuses here. And then you get the Warpstone Tractor Beam, which is basically, I would argue this is the equivalent to essentially your faction's clan headquarters, even though it's not really, because this is the faction's headquarters, as it were. So one thing I didn't note with Clan Eshin is that the Clan Eshin building is from 2 to 3, not I'm sorry, it's from rank from tier 1 to 3, not tier 2 to rank to tier 4. God, I just really fumbled my way through that one, but still, my point is that the Eshin gets access to this stuff quicker, which I kind of wish that Scryer did. And it's kind of why Scryer, I think, gets a little bit of a point against them, because you can't get access to any of the Scryer stuff until rank 3 on them, or tier 3 in your location, which, if you're building Skaven Blight, it's not that hard, and it's not that expensive, but still, you have to jump into it before you can even just get simply the Plague Claw Catapult. You do get access to stuff over here in the Warp Grinders and the Warp Fire Throwers, but the Rattling Guns and the Poison Wind Globerdiers, those are really the strong weapon teams, especially the Poison Wind Mortars, which are going to be getting at tier 4. So I kind of wish that this just moved down to tier 1 or this moved down to tier 2, so I feel like I was getting access to these things a little bit quicker. It's kind of a knock against Scryer. But still, Scryer has like no opposition and can kind of take over Warhammer Spain in like no time, which is really kind of cool. And then you can go up north here into Bretonia, or over east here into a Warhammer Italy, basically, and then the Border Princes. You are going to start running into some issues, though, with this campaign, and this is what I've kind of found a little bit challenging, is you're going to hit into Scrag over here. You have a ton of characters right over here, including Sartosa, so you just kind of have to choose how you're going to expand with Scryer and be a little intelligent about it, because you will run into some opposition, but hey, who cares? You can blow them up with a nuke, and that's the cool thing again. So if you want to play a Skaven Space Marine, launching warp lightning all over the place, and having jacked weapons teams as well as all the crazy inventions of Clan Scryer, man, you're going to have so much fun with Ikit Claw. Alright, number 1 goes to Throt the Unclean. Arguably my least favorite character and least favorite clan. But still, really fun when it comes to Total War Warhammer 3. Especially Total War Warhammer 3's placement of expanding Kislev, adding Kislev, and having so many fun things throughout the Northern Chaos Waste and Norska. So let's take a look at this faction here. When we look at Clan Moors, Splice, Mutate, Multiply, Destroy. Has access to the Clan Molder Flesh Lab. Immune to Mountain Attrition. Hit points plus 10%. Construction cost minus 50% for breeding stock, pits of basically the whole lab building line, which is good because that is going to be the name of the game with Clan, almost said Moors, with Clan Molder here. So Lord of Hell Pit gives him upkeep reduction for Wolf Rats, which are awesome units. Rat Ogres, which are amazing units. Mutant Rat Ogres, which are even better. Brood Horrors, and Hell Pit Abominations. Passive ability Regeneration, ability Beast Pack, which I'll show off in a second here. Passive ability Master Controller, and then armor for all those aforementioned units. Now, when we look at the Beast Pack unit here, this is basically summon a unit of Rat Ogres. And that's so strong. That is so good. Rat Ogres are a great AP, just burst style shock, quote-unquote cav style unit. They're monsters, not cavalry, right? Unit for the Skaven. Master Controller, though, as well. All allies in range, plus 5 defense for leadership. It's just really nice, as well as having that regen to kind of keep him nice and topped off. Not the craziest of combatants, because, you know, he is a Beastmaster, not necessarily one that's going to go fisticuffs, but he still has some bonus versus large, and he can be upgraded to do some crazy cool damage when you go into his skills. So with his skills, everything is pretty much the standard situation. He gets Verminous Valor here, does not get the trophies, but obviously the big things you're going to want to focus on are going to be Molder Knowledge, which give you speed and charge bonus to the same bonuses that you got with his actual traits. Those things are going to be pretty crucial for you, right? I didn't really focus on much of these in this video, but still, you want to layer these as much as you can into the factions you're playing as. But with his special line, he gets Remoldered, which is a heal as well as a boost to melee attack and leadership. Now, this unit, the thing that is targeted, has to be a Clan Molder monster, which there are going to be plenty to pull from, so don't worry about that. Monster Throttler is going to increase that bonus versus large. Growth Juice, gain from recycled units plus 10%, and then AP plus 50. Specimen Collector, income post-battle, casualty replenishment rate, more growth juice. Tremblin and Anavar, who even knows what it is. Attribute perfect vigor, leadership, and then master the mutated, missile resistance, weapon strength, and melee defense for all those units. So you can really see that he can juice up these units, these Wolf Rats, these Rat Ogres, these Mutant Rat Ogres, these Brood Horrors, these Hell Pit Abominations. Then he gets the Unclean one, which helps with Beast Pack by giving it an additional cast, as well as a cooldown reduction on it, ward save, and hit points to him. And he gets Warpstone weapons, and he can be mounted on a Brood Horror, which makes him very formidable. He can move through combat a lot easier. He can do a lot of damage on that thing. It's just a really good unit. And he also gets Frenzy when he's on that Brood Horror, which is really nice here as well. I think it's Molder Master, or Molder Monster, or it is Monster, so who cares? I got sidetracked there. Now, he starts over here with Hell Pit, and just to kind of show off here, you know, this is the Skaven stronghold of Hell Pit. This is your stronghold. This is where Clan Molder is. So this is your headquarters buildings. But also gets Depths of the Pit, the deep pits, which upkeep production for rat ogres and hell pit abominations, recruitment costs, and then recruitment rank for those units, which is just lovely. It's spicy, it's juicy. And the nice thing too is that the breeding stock is a tier 2 building, which I really like, because the wolf rats here are a great little unit to get out, and then you jump right into rat ogres, which just kind of pop off for you, getting into a packmaster, then your mutant rat ogres, your brood horror, then finally your hell pit abomination. It's just a very strong line, and to be fair, it's kind of a trend you've probably seen in a lot of these videos. This is the most recent Skaven character to be added to the game, and also have a lot of faction mechanics added into it, because you also get a bunch of stuff here. So your mutagens go into your flesh labs. Now, why I like the flesh labs more than the Scryer Workshop is because the Scryer Workshop is the weapons teams, whereas the flesh labs kind of pulls a little bit from the same thought process as the greenskin scrap mechanic, in that I can simply select a single unit and I can augment that unit in however way I see fit. You know what? Do I want to give it a bunch of armor? Well, I'm going to go up this line here. I'm going to go to this, maybe melee attack, some strider, and melee defense, and just kind of go up these. You have to unlock these as you go up, but still, you can kind of pick and choose how each and every individual unit is in your army, so you can kind of specialize them, which I like a little bit more. Monster augments are still present here too, so don't worry about that. And you can also go build in some instabilities, right? So there's a lot of cool things you can do with this mechanic. It has a lot of fun layering into it, and I've gone into a lot more detail in its own separate video on this mechanic. Now, as you pump things with these mutagens, you build up your growth vat. Initially, it just simply gives you wolf rats. Receive a batch of wolf rat units with guaranteed wolf rats. Mutagen byproduct plus 100. But then at the top end gets Hell Pit Abomination Cluster. Receive a batch of units with a guaranteed Hell Pit Abomination. So you basically have these units that you can just kind of immediately pull from and claim. So you get some instant units out of it. And then you have some laboratory upgrades, which to give you a bunch of other capabilities, casualty replenishment, but also recruitment rank bonuses, all these things that you can take advantage of. So I like the application of the Flesh Lab to your campaign more than Scryer's Workshop, because this is a little bit more wide sweeping, isn't relegated to just some single units. And I think that the bonuses that you get, rather than simply being items and regiments of renown, having these overall like ward save 10% for units with 4-up augments, that's awesome. It protects your investment a little bit more. So I kind of like those things. It works a little bit better for me in my mind. Now, as far as this campaign goes, it's #1, but it's also #1 in difficulty as far as what you have to deal with. You are surrounded by nothing but enemies. You have a ton of them right over here. You do have a little bit of allies over here in the mountains, but you can see that you don't start with any of them revealed like a lot of the other factions do. And you have a lot of scary lords right over here, right? Like Azazel is right over there. You have Valkia right over here. Just Kislev, I'm just going to say that, is right there. And then you also have more Kislev over here, and you're just surrounded by chaos. So picking and choosing who you're going to ally with is going to be pretty crucial to maintaining your longevity in this campaign. And it will be difficult, but the fact that you can buff up your units and make them so strong and have them fit every single little thing that you're dealing with in this campaign, I think is what makes Clan Molder both challenging but also very rewarding and fun as you kind of pick apart. Okay, well, I'm fighting against a lot of dwarfs, so I want to get more melee defense or more missile resistance and more armor piercing, whatever it is. Or hey, you know, I'm fighting against demons now, I want some more large and bonus versus large, or I want more flaming and magic attacks, whatever it is. So I really like that ability to kind of cater my army to the specific need I have. So this concludes our foray into the Skaven here. Go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. Are you enjoying maybe Ikit Claw above everyone else? Maybe you like Tretch Craventail the most, and you're going to tell me exactly why, and this is why he trumps every single Skaven lord for you. Let it be known in the comment section below. Give me an idea of how you're playing these lords to help anyone else out that is thinking, well, you know what? I really want to play Queek, but he made it sound like Queek is completely boring. It's not. Like I've said before, anyone on this list is there mainly because of my preference and the way I like to approach these campaigns, not because they're terrible bad characters. And if they are, I've explained why and how you can work around those things. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. I wanted to do Empire next, but I think I'm going to wait until the 2.2 patch, which hopefully fixes things. The changes to Call Franz are huge alone. So go ahead and let me know in the comment section below what faction you'd like to see next. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one and take care.